Good evening, guys, and welcome to the Pro League of the ILG LCL, the game between Oblique Gaming and Team Misfits. I'm Zedais, and casting alongside me is going to be tons of damage from Team Mystique. How are we doing, man?
Hey man, how are you doing?
Really fun, and damn excited to see the two pretty much really close teams, because all 10 people in this game, in this particular matchup, are really good friends and know each other so well in real life. So it's actually a very friendly kind of match to a great extent. Of course, one is the best team in the country and the other is a team that has generally stayed in the Indian scene for a very long time. So between these two teams, we might expect to see some really exciting things happening. So, going into the bans, we do see Rek'Sai, Sejuani, and Thresh being banned on the side of OG, and on the side of Misfits, they are banning Vayne, Morgana, and Jarvan the Fourth, who is obviously 100% picked and banned throughout the tournament. So, what do you think of these bans, man? Are these target bans, or are they standard bans, or would you ban them, or how would they go?
I feel the Rek'Sai is a targeting ban because purple teams. Jungler has been picking Rek'Sai whenever he got a chance to, and he's been wrecking with it. As the pun goes, it's Rek'Sai. He's picked it up the last three games whenever it was available, and he's been wrecking with it. He's been exerting a lot of pressure on the bot lane, helping the AD carry scale, and therefore it creates some pressure at the dragon fight at the very beginning of the game.
User disconnected from your...
They want to take the Rek'Sai out of the picture, and not many people are actually used to seeing the Rek'Sai, so the champion always has the potential to cause a surprise. You don't know, some people, even I, who used to play LoL a lot, I'm not exactly sure what he actually does. All I know is he has a skill shot which does knock up a person. I just know
it's better to take away the uncertainty. Yeah, it's better to take away the uncertainty than to directly deal with it and pretty much expect and pretty much suffer or take the risk of having a very hard time against it. So the first picks coming in, Zarkas is going to be locking in that Vi, Jojo. As we all know, we call him Jojo all over the Indian community. And he is actually pretty much the most famous jungler and literally on top and on par with the top Singaporean teams as well, along with the entire team as a whole. And so we do see him going Vi, which is also pretty much a trademark pick, although we'd all know him for his Jarvan more than everything else. But considering Jarvan is picked and banned 100%, we do see the Jarvan already being banned on the side of Misfits. Zarkas too, actually, as you kept saying, how the Defiance has been going Rek'Sai on the jungle, Zarkas has been going Jarvan in the jungle a lot too, and each time he has gotten Jarvan, he's been laying immense pressure, probably more than every other jungler out there in the LCL who has gotten the same pick but hasn't quite been able to lay down as much pressure as he has been able to. And we do see a Janna instantly being locked in from Frost. I'm kind of curious because Thresh and Morgana have been banned. That only leaves you, in the current state of things, the Janna, as the Leona already has been picked. So you play a fair bit of support. How would picking a Janna versus a Leona go? How would you really expect the lane to go, really?
The Janna works really good for field. And considering they already locked in a Wukong and a Leona, it's pretty obvious that Team Purple Misfits are going with an all-in comp. As you can see, even the marker being hovered over it. So they are actually picking a all-in comp. So seeing the enemy champion picks, Janna is a really wise pick to pick at the moment. And the Janna could also cancel Leona's Leona's Zenith Blade, is it? Leona's
Yeah.
So she could never catch up, which means Leona would never be able to stun herself or her AD carry twice. All Leona could actually do is land her ult after level 6 first and then go on with her EQ. But then Leona is a really safe pick. She has her own disengage ult, probably the most OPS disengage in the entire game.
Indeed, nobody likes that.
Yeah, it's pretty annoying whenever you see that coming.
Right, and oddly enough, an Oriana being hovered over by Evil Dead this time around, and we do see Brutality locking in the Tristana. So Tristana has kind of always remained, even past that Q nerf, that was the Q duration nerf that generally kind of plagued her, and kind of when we had that phase where we finally stopped seeing play being going on. But on the side of Misfits, we do see the Ezreal and the Maokai being written. As you said, the Janna pick was in response to potentially further gap closing picks, but it does appear that Misfits are still going to roll with this anyway. And Maokai, obviously a very, very standard pick off late in the top lane. He has completely come up to fruition more than in the jungle. Earlier, people used to blame him in the jungle, but then he's been saying more play in top lane since all through Season 4, really. And so we get to see the pick shining up and pretty much, hopefully, being a solid front line on the side of Misfits. But wouldn't you say they kind of lack solid damage? They kind of lack innate damage in Misfits' team comp as opposed to OG right now.
Not necessarily. They have a Wukong jungle who actually usually they build damage more than tank initially, and it depends on how the jungle plays it. But the Wukong innately has a lot of damage. His EQ combo, and not to mention his ult, is really annoying, which knocks off everybody.
Right.
They have Israel and an annoying Nedley for the damage. But I'm not exactly sure about the purple team comp, because Nedley does require a little bit of peeling if they're going for that.
Yeah, and she's also the sort to deal damage from a distance, isn't she? Like everybody else is just so hard engaged and just go all in, while Nidalee has to stay back and pretty much poke spears. So we're kind of an out of place pick for that mid lane, really, for such a team comp.
The Y pick is what I'm worried about for the Nidalee, because Nidalee, when she builds AP, she's highly squishy. She does a lot of damage with the spears and stuff. But when you have a Vi who's going to come behind you and ult at the very beginning of the team fight, that's pretty much nothing you can do. Diana has to rush over Mikhail's Crucible to avoid that from happening.
Right, and we have to see if it works. On the side of OG, we do see a Vi in the jungle, a Tristana and Janna bot lane, a Nasus in the top lane, and an Oriana in the mid lane. So a bit of wombo combo in that Vi Oriana, very, very popular to an extent as well. But Nasus being picked up in the top lane, so kind of a very laid-back top lane phase we might expect in this matchup, don't you think? The whole Nasus versus Maokai, where both of them just trade very little blows against each other.
Exactly. We're not going to be seeing any kills coming up in the top lane after level 9 for sure. It's not going to be a duel anymore. If you see Nasus and Maokai going at it, it probably means somebody else from either of the team is nearby. So top lane is going to be a really passive farm lane. Both of them looking forward to getting into the late game, because they both scale really well. Nasus is a better 1v1, I suppose. What do you think? I'm not exactly sure how the matchup goes between Nasus and Maokai.
Yeah, he kind of can. I mean, it's just that Maokai's ultimate in general, the whole reduced damage dealing, makes him a better teamfight pick than a Nasus. But as we all know, the gentle terror that Nasus is, it all comes down to how much he manages to get those amount of stacks. Because as the game goes, if you see the Nasus kind of slowly spiraling out of control with near perfect 10 CS per minute, he's gradually going to be a pain on his own, because his own Qs will pretty much compensate for any other kind of disability that he might have. Because commonly as a Nasus, you're going to look at him as melee. You're going to probably say that, okay, he can only slow one person and get to that particular person, so we can pretty much play around that and kind of take our range into advantage. But again, this is more than compensated if he stacks. If he gets enough Q stacks that he just pretty much gets the ability to delete people in that top lane right there. So we could expect him to either stay back and split push, but considering he does a teleport, he will look to move around with his team, especially for contesting objectives, But yeah, this will be an interesting kind of game going in. Both team comps do look fairly good, although with a few out of place picks on the side of Misfits. But OG again, but I wouldn't completely say that OG have made the perfect picks for this game, because a Tristana into a Vi and an Orianna in the same team is kind of sounding odd to me. And on top of all that, an Ace's top lane, so I would say it's unusual, but we're not seeing anything completely new either, because we've all seen these picks. We've all seen them being worked time and time again. And so how the level ones go? Like, gauge the level ones and take me through what both teams should be hoping to do going into the game.
Level 1 doesn't have a lot of CC from either side, unless if Makai picks his snare. But Makai doesn't usually start off with a snare level 1, does he?
He always starts with saplings, so that's really not.
Yeah, this is just going to be a passive level 1, everybody guarding their own jungle, putting out defensive wards. But
they do have decent amount of engage on blue team. Do have a decent amount of engage, wouldn't you say? Because if Jana does take charge and they do manage to land, Vi manages to land a decent Q, and if the Nasus actually takes the trouble, and he very well could, guys. OG is one of those teams that is very, very known for doing unusual level 1 stats and picking up pretty much not the optimal kind of skill ups that you'd see. So I really won't be surprised if this thing just takes up Wither and pretty much sees the first target and tries to completely create a short numbers advantage for all of a few seconds while the Wither just ticks. So I'm not quite sure, but then again, as you say, tons of damage, it actually might turn out to be a very passive level 1 or so. That's how we've seen games of the Pro League go so far. No real invades, no real kind of gutsy stats coming in from either team.
Yeah, you would want to rather play it safe. We've seen games even in the Pro League. I saw one just yesterday where the level 1 pretty much decided the entire game. I think it's between okay, I don't remember the team's name exactly, but level 1 pretty much sealed the deal for the
Oblique Gaming and Misfits. Misfits is red, Oblique Gaming is blue side.
That was the Terminator. I think it was.
Oh, right. Okay, that's back then.
on the Orianna and Sexpus on Ari yesterday.
Nexus Destroyers, was it?
Yeah, Nexus Destroyers. Yeah. It was.
Nexus Destroyers. Anyway, so bit of traps being laid on by Sexpus, kind of dealing a fair amount of damage onto Jana, trying to do stuff, but nothing particularly. They're just kind of laughing it off. As I said, both these teams, all 10 of these people just know each other so well and have pretty much remained friends over the last couple of years, or maybe even longer. I mean, I'm not quite sure. I just kind of sneaked in a year ago and started to knowing all 10 of these people, and they're all really, really close friends in real life. So you can expect to see some really, really fun jabs being taken on each other, especially in that all chat. But when the game gets going, OG are truly a very fearsome team, as they are the best that India has to offer in team ranked, and can pretty much stand toe to toe with top SG teams even. So it's kind of curious. I'm really wanting to see what their closest kind of sister team almost in the form of Misfits and what they are. So it'll be interesting to see what they come up with and what they kind of do against such a well-rounded team comp like this. So standard lanes being gone on both sides, nothing particularly fancy as you had predicted, Mega, and already a little bit of pressure being laid in that mid lane. So how will the Orianna versus Nidalee matchup go, according to you, Mega?
The Orianna can actually bully out the Nidalee. The Nidalee is not exactly a strong laner. She doesn't even offer some CC, so unless she does manage to land the spear, the new Nidalee has the ability to bounce in even if you are slightly out of range. The W's range has been increased so much that if you do manage to land a spear, you can jump from a considerably long distance, from a safe distance, and manage to land your W EQ combo and then back out. But
and meanwhile, we do see. Oh, never mind. I actually thought you'd go for a proper gank at mid lane. Anyway, continue, Mega.
Yeah, actually, even if the Nedley manages to land a spear, it has to be max range for her to actually win a trade, any sort of trade. Because if she does W inside Oriana, and
Yep.
the Oriana is gonna hit her back all the way when she's backing out. She's gonna QW
Yeah.
Nedley, and she's gonna keep auto attacking. And the Oriana's auto attacks are a pain sometimes, especially when Nedley's backing out. There's pretty much nothing she can do other than take all the damage. So the only time Nedley should actually be going inside is if she managed to land the max range spear. And even in that case, I would just say Nedley should just look to farm it out safely in the lane. And she could be a
Right.
threat really in the dragon area. Because those spears out of those from Fog of War, they'll cause a lot of pain and you don't even see it coming before it actually hits you.
And so far, we do see Defiance being very, very active throughout the last minute. Really, he's been going to mid lane, he's been going to bot lane at the start, to mid lane, and now is on to the top lane. So he's trying to establish some tremendous early game pressure. But OG are just so quick to notice this. I guess Zarkus is just reading Defiance so really well that he's just asking everyone to just expect the Wukong to come up for some really, really early ganks so that you can try to make ends meet. But again, the mid lane, it's an Oriana, so naturally a very, very safe laner who is kind of very hard to gank unless you have significant amount of TC, and all you have in the mid lane is, as you said, Mega, a Nidalee who really has no innate CC to follow up on ganks. So
exactly.
kind of good that he is trying to take initiative to go into establish more presence in the Vi, while all Zarkus has done was farm up till this point. But he can't keep this up any further because, as we all know, Wukong not only is he kind of weak in this jungle, but even his ganks in this particular matchup against this particular team comp will only get harder and harder. Lane ganks, in terms of lane ganks, I mean. So right now the game is going fairly weird fashion, and we do see a slight bit of engage. Zarkus bot Defiance does not decide to do anything with it because he did go in for a ward. Nothing much else besides that. And a small engage going in by Shifu in that mid lane. Frost doing really, really well to kind of keep Cookies out of the whole picture. And that's pretty much what the Janna can do, guys. And I feel that that's exactly what the Janna pick was for. You can not only can you shut down a Leona's pick, you can pretty much prevent the AD carry from following up on engages if you knock him up enough. So that's pretty much what we're seeing right here.
As for the red team, they had to try and make the best of the first dragon because the Nedley can pressurize the dragon.
Wow, and another engage going in. With a follow-up being coming. Oh, he actually managed to cover resistance, but that forces a flash out of Frost. And no way, Cookies actually goes in with no mana. Can he get the kill right now? No, not quite. He doesn't even have the mana for a Q, and that will be a flash Q coming in from Zarkus. He will chase Cookies out, but this will be a dead OG Flame Frost, or will it? No, not quite. A point blank jump into another force out. Wow. So multiple things happening. We did see Zarkus kind of following up onto Cookie's love story, but he kind of left mechanics in the mid lane to kind of re-engage and pretty much pick his trail because he went back onto that mid lane fearing for Frost's life. But as we all saw, brutality is generally innate damage, and the fact that he just managed to get his W on did enable him to kind of get a clean kill there and get first blood.
Exactly, and
so
as soon as they got a kill bot lane, the jungler was dead, and they went straight for the dragon. That's a good call.
Yep.
So,
that first dragon, as you were saying, has actually gone in OG's favor instead of Misfits. And so what now? What now? What do you think they should go for? And wow, another bit of aggression. That'll be a straight up kill on Cookie's love story. I was completely not noticing that bot lane. I was too busy looking at what they were doing at other places. So because I directed camera and it didn't quite focus on them until too late, and that will be Tristana getting a second kill. So a huge Tristana, two kills up ahead of the SDL. and we will see the snowball that we've grown to love and grown to fear a lot as we faced the number of enemy Tristanas all through season 4. And this will just be the picks that's rolling. So bot lane in a very dangerous position, might probably warrant a lot more presence from the jungler. But again, as we saw Defiance, wouldn't you say that he's laid way too much pressure in level 1 that he may not be able to keep it up anymore, Mega, given how he was level 1?
What are you talking about? Defiance?
Well, yeah, Defiance on that Wukong. We've seen him making 3 straight rounds before he even went back to farming after getting both his buffs. So, given that bot lane is now 2-0, can he continue laying pressure at all, being a Wukong in this jungle?
It's going to be tough for the Wukong because there's no pressure at the mid lane by the Nidalee because the Orianna is just gonna W away, and as we said earlier, Nidalee doesn't have any proper CC to contribute to any proper Wukong gank. And also in the bot lane we have the Janna for really good disengage. So Wukong pretty much cannot gank anywhere except for the top lane, where he could gank, but as you see our top gank happening already.
And wow, a very, very good bit of bait coming in from Distinct, forcing Ripcord to fight him so that he can give Xarkas a much easier time ganking the lane, and Defiance will be too late to respond to it and pretty much get anything out of it, much less a kill. So that will be a very successful gank in the top lane. He does get the kill for himself though. So it's not as though Distinct got it. Distinct was able to get the kill to get himself snowballing. So the vibe pretty much growing dangerous, and we do know that given Wukong's struggles in the early game jungle and another engage coming into that bot lane, will you actually see a kill of this though? I do think that this is a very, very far in engage for them to go in, and both AD carries kind of immediately zeroing on their supports. However, Frost doing an extremely, extremely good shield to kind of save himself and bite extra time to take it off, but even then it only amounts to a trade-off. So a 2-for-2 trade, first of its kind really that I'm seeing in this tournament so far, coming into that bot lane.
Yeah, it was a mistake by Liliana to go inside a Janna without ulting first, because once you go in, and the minions were actually pushed up in Brutality's favor, in the blue team's favor. So Leona going in like that wasn't exactly the best idea, but sometimes you cannot probably resist it. Sometimes Leona is just too bored in the lane, maybe.
The natural aggression coming in from Leona players kind of doing a lot, and so that's pretty much natural. But then again, it did end up in a trade because we saw Cookies play that out really well alongside. Like, even though Leona did seem like it went straight in, she did good to kind of peel Brutality away from immediately going after Cookies, and Cookies also did well to single-mindedly focus only on Janna, who is the target of his aggression since the start, because he tried to hit a Q and it completely hit Janna for all the damage that it could possibly deal. So good decision by him, actually, would you say?
Cookies actually landed each and every one of his Qs there to actually get the color, because the Leona was already taken to less than 50 HP before the actual trade even started happening. But since Cookies was able to
Xarkas repeat ganking that mid lane, does land the Q onto Sexpush, forces the flash on the Nidalee. So a no flash Nidalee with no innate CC anyway will pretty much be asking for extra ganks from Xarkas, it seems. So he's gotten bot lane rolling. Top lane he did manage to give an assist to the top lane. I'm not quite sure if he'll be satisfied with that, if Distinct will be satisfied with that. But wow, that is some heavy punishment. Some heavy hits and a crit coming in will pretty much give every single initiative for Xarkas to try and go into this game again, and that will be the ultimate securing the kill onto the Ezreal. But can he get a win? No, he cannot. He fails the jump. It goes on to cooldown, and there is nothing that Frost can do to save his dear old lady carry, and that will be a 1-for-1 trade in favor of nothing.
The timing actually missed a little bit. If they actually had this thing come after 30 seconds, they would have been able to take the dragon. But eventually, in the end of the day, it was a one-to-one trade. So
So nothing
going
particularly
on.
changes in that engage. However, the gold lead and the lead in kills still in favor of OG so far.
But
given
you notice that Maokai is who teleported bot lane? Was it the Maokai?
Yeah, it was the Maokai. It was the Maokai. So they forced the teleport out of Maokai in that push.
Yeah, and Nasus has his teleport up, which should leave Team Blue from going straight to the dragon now. Maokai has to farm top. He has a huge wave coming into his tower. Nasus can easily go
So
ahead.
no pressure teleport. In fact, they're not just going for dragon after forcing the teleport to Maokai. They're actually getting to work, getting mid tower down, and then they're gonna use the pushed mid lane to attract the enemy mid laner in there, and then go for the dragon later on, because they know they have the numbers advantage, and a 1-0-1 Vi along with a 5-2 Tristana is definitely enough. And the Tristana can follow up anytime. It's brutality after all. He knows, he has been in this situation himself a lot of times, and all that Misfits have against this dragon is a weak Ezreal ultimate, which still won't particularly help them at all. And look at the siege, look at the pressure they're dealing. They're not skipping a beat, laying down all the pressure in every other lane onto their outer towers. The mid lane is gone. The top lane, the bottom lane's outer tower also suffering a fair bit of damage from that dragon push. He needn't even be there, and that's pretty much the pressure that he created. And we do see an all-in, it seems like, coming in from the Nasus. Distinct is trying to put as many stacks as he can. Ripcord, I don't think he cannot even last any longer against the Nasus right now. It's only a matter of time before he completely loses in a blatant 1v1 to the Nasus, because he's only going to scale ever more, ever higher. And it's an endless scale, because there is no cap on the amount of stacks that Nasus can put on his queue. So that's that for the top lane. Every lane slowly going in favor of OG. So what should Misfits be thinking about right now?
The strategy coming in from the blue team right now is they have a fat on Nasus who should be able to 1v1 the Maokai from this point on. So he's going to be split pushing all day when they have to send multiple members, because the Maokai will take ages to even get him to half HP when Nasus could actually end up killing the Maokai. So
right.
Maokai should be more focused toward fighting right now. Should probably push his lane, and as you can see, Orianna going aggressive on the Nedley.
That will be the ultimate. Will we actually see a kill off of this though? If she picks up a ball, yes, that will be a clean kill, and a final auto will pretty much seal the deal and give her the kill. Not even the inner shield, not even the inner tower shield, saving her from one single auto attack. So Evil Dead on that Orianna, growing slightly larger and larger in terms of gold lead. In terms of gold, because he's not only is he 20 CS ahead, he's also managed to get a kill, so he's technically 2 kills ahead of the Nidalee. He's as good as 2 kills lead ahead than the Nidalee, at least in terms of gold.
It is a very hard lane for the Nidalee, because Nidalee, as far as I've played it, it's been a really weak lane champion. And the Orianna,
and wow, another Oli coming in. A 3-man dive onto the Maokai. I saw this in the minimap, but I didn't think the camera would pan over it this late. I was about to say it, but never mind. This will be a dead top lane. So OG beginning their systematic deconstruction of starting with the outer towers, then going into deep wards in the jungle, pushing them out of their own jungle, looking to see if more than 2 people die at a time, get dragons, and eventually try and close the game out. And this is their style. This is how they play the game out. They start by trying to see which tower they can get down first, play around it, and start laying down their vision around it. And we already see a few deep wards on the right side of Misfits' jungle, and Nidalee is not in a safe place. She cannot get that tower down in time, at least not alive anyway, and she has to back off. And can she back off? The Nasus does catch up, and that will be some heavy damage being laid onto Sexpos right now. We do see another engage coming in from the Leona, a very desperate one. Albeit even with the ultimates and even with the synergy that they could try and pull off, they are still not able to kill the Tristana, and she actually escapes with enough health, stay in lane and lay down even more, even further amount of pressure, and good positioning by Frost to kind of get right in, but an equally good bait coming in on the side of Misfits. They completely did not expect the Wukong right there, but help has arrived from the side of OG, and Distinct with those stacks completely decimating them. 18 minutes in, with damage is the stack even doing? It is 333 in 18 minutes, and that appears to be all that's needed to pretty much demotivate Misfits mentally. And that's what Nasus do when they get that fed. I'd like to always think that the pressure of a Nasus Q dealing that much damage to you is just, it completely gets you mentally, and I don't even know like, how did all this happen? Like, what's really happening, Mika? Give me some clarity here. I don't even know what to talk about anymore.
The red team has not been making many mistakes, but the blue team pretty much been playing this game perfectly since level 1. Red team did make a lot of plays, but you always had the Y counter-ganking every time Wukong went in anywhere. Assuming that they do have a stronger peel with a Janna and Oriana and Nidalee on the other side who has no CC.
Yep.
It just gives room for both the junglers. I mean, whenever both the junglers meet together, you always see the blue team coming out ahead because of the team composition. And right
another huge bit of aggression coming in from Zarkus. The Q connects onto the Leona. He does smite the Ezreal for good measure to try and make sure he does not get away in case they kill the Leona in time. And that will be 3 people going right on races but not doing anything to them. And Mechanics on the other side, securing the kill onto the Leona, and this will be a collab thread in Cookie's love story. Rip Cookie's love story. And again, the Nidalee not quite able to do much, and that will still not be a dead jungler. I thought that Flash for sure would kind of do something, but the GGs, very early GGs coming in, and they do surrender, and wow.
This is the first surrender coming in the Pro League as far as I can tell, right?
Yep, indeed, because you really don't. The outscaling happened way earlier than you'd expect it to be, and they just weren't able to respond to pressure, I feel. But anyways, guys, that will be the game between Oblique Gaming and Misfits. I'm Zaraz, and along with tons of damage, it's goodbye.